The embryonic stage of Triceratops begins inside the egg. Preserved remains have been found from which it can be deduced that the shell structure was microporous calcareous and the inner membrane was moist and veined, creating a confined, dark, and warm embryonic world for the embryo, similar to modern bird eggs. The dinosaur nest is in a sandy clearing. The air is hazy, and the rustling of ferns and conifers can be felt. In the background, a herd of brachiosaurs can be seen. Herbivorous dinosaurs, their shapes suggest distant calls and vibrations traveling through the ground to the nest. The baby Triceratops has limited movement inside its moist, membrane-bound egg. From the inside, it breaks the shell with its sharp egg tooth. Baby Triceratops measure 30 to 50 centimeters long, with thick but flexible skin, large eyes, small horns, and a developing frill. It persistently presses against the shell, breaking it piece by piece from the darkness and dampness until its small head emerges. The nests were dug in sandy sediment. The eggs were large and oval. The mother laid them partially buried, absorbing the heat from the sun-baked earth for a peaceful incubation. The newborn Triceratops took its first unsteady steps. Its body was covered in polygonal scales. Around the nest, small, insect-like scavengers crawled across the substrate, representing an immediate and instinctive danger in the primitive environment. In its early infancy, it was curious and playful. Under its mother's care, it didn't truly understand the dangers of its primitive environment. Initially, its locomotion was clumsy but functional. Its large, curious eyes were wide open, and its open mouth emitted a sharp call. It staggered slightly across the flat ground covered with ferns and fallen leaves. The mother, protective of her young, had a body mass exceeding 6.5 tons and was 7 meters long, with horns over a meter long and a solid, scarred bony frill, forming a defensive circle. She had a stable quadrupedal posture and a sharp, horny beak. They likely grouped together in defensive formations, exhibiting a possible gregarious behavior known as herd behavior, clustering and acting collectively, mimicking the actions or decisions of a majority without prior planning. Its habitat was the warm floodplains with a humid subtropical climate. Ferns, early maturing angiosperms, and conifers like metasequoia were abundant. Insects and small nocturnal mammals were also present. A constant threat to the Triceratops, especially the young ones, was Tyrannosaurus rex, the great king of predators. The young learned to interpret the group's body language and recognize seismic vibrations that represented threats, remaining positioned in the center of the defensive circle. As it enters juvenile stage, there is a gradual transition. It develops supraorbital horns. The bony frill, peritosculus shield, thickens. Its cervical muscle mass increases. Its teeth are continuously replaced. Social interactions consisted of play mock shoves and gentle headbutts. This social interaction established a clear hierarchy within the group of juveniles. Hierarchies were respected. They competed for access to the most nutritious vegetation. It possibly had an intermediate metabolism or mesothermy, meaning it possessed a physiological strategy intermediate between cold-blooded and warm-blooded endothermy. Towards adulthood, a Triceratops measured 8 to 9 meters long, weighed 6 to 10 tons, had horns over 1 meter long and a solid scarred bony frill. It is believed that they lived in herds like modern herbivores for protection and to increase their chances of survival against predators. There were dry seasons and rainy seasons, fires and floods. They migrated throughout the year according to climatic conditions in search of better vegetation and water. The enormous and slender adult Triceratops engaged in fights to defend territory or to mate with females. These were clashes of incredible force that tested their combat strategies and muscular strength. Bone against bone, making the ground tremble. The defeated would make a strategic retreat. The consequences of these battles could be fatal or result in serious injuries. Horns and bodies could suffer bleeding, fractures, and hemorrhaging. It was common for battles to leave deep scars etched into their solid frill and thick, calloused skin, telling the story of a life of survival. Their horns were their main weapon of attack and defense, which is why they frequently suffered breaks and fractures, if not partial or total loss of them. The winner of the fights had the right to mate with the female. Slight dimorphism may have existed, meaning there were minor physiological differences between females and males. Mating was brief. Afterward, the female dug a nest with her hind legs and laid multiple eggs. She guarded the area for predators. There was high embryonic mortality. Upon reaching old age, signs of aging became noticeable: reduced mobility, tooth wear, tired eyes, diminished muscle mass and strength, and numerous calcified scars. They likely suffered from chronic infections and old calcified scars at this age, which made them more dependent on the group. They generally sought refuge in the environment for protection. They participated less in fights or not at all. Finally, death arrived. If it was natural, it could be due to infections, seasonal malnutrition, or unhealed injuries. Until it triggered a general bodily collapse, and its enormous body lay motionless, until its last slow breath. With the lifeless body, small scavengers and necrophagous insects approach. With sun exposure, rain, and sedimentation, the progressive mineralization of the remains occurs. Over millions of years, fossilization occurs. With luck and patience, modern paleontologists discover the fossils, carefully removing this valuable material, evidence of the existence of this majestic species that once walked these very lands.
Enjoyed this video? Please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us create more amazing content. Thank you.